Now we're factoring trinomials with a leading coefficient other than 1. So a is not 1 anymore. Notice the x squared, the a is in front of the x squared is the leading coefficient, has the power of 2. B is in front of just the regular x, and then c, there's no x there, there's no variable there, so, and it goes a, b, c. So that's the order you want your trinomial in. So you notice my leading coefficient's not 1. Can I divide everything by 4? No, I can't. So this is a method that you can use to factor these. There's many ways to do this. This is just one. You can do it however you want. So my a is positive 4, my b is 7, my c is 3. So my first step is I'm multiplying a times c. That gets me 12. Then and I have a 1 here. Now I'm going to go back and factor like normal, set up my parentheses. Two numbers that multiply to 12 that add to 7 is 4 and 3. Then you have to go back and undo this multiplication and divide by a, which was 4. So I'm dividing them both by 4. 4 divided by 4 is 1. 3 divided by 4 is a fraction. And we don't want a fraction. I'm not going to put 0.75. I'm going to clear my fractions. So how do I clear my fraction? I can multiply both these terms by the denominator, which is 4. So if I multiply them both by 4, I get 4x plus 3. So really, you can just think about it as moving that there. 4x plus 3 is one of the factors. All right, we're going to do it again. My leading coefficient's 3. It's not 1. I can't divide everything by 3. A is positive 3. B is negative 5. C is negative 2. Step 1. Multiply a times c. Get negative 6. Then I'm going to factor like normal. Parentheses. Break up my first term. Two numbers that multiply to 6 that subtract to negative 5. It's going to be 6 and 1. And the leftover is negative, so the 6 has to be negative. Then you're going to go back, undo this multiplication, and divide by a, which was 3. So I divide them both by 3. 6 divided by 3 is 2. 1/3, I don't want a fraction. I'm going to clear my fraction. And it's going to be 3x plus 1. And x minus 2 are my two factors. So let's keep going. I have my trinomial. My leading coefficient is not 1. I cannot divide everything by 2. So first, I do a times c. 2 times positive 3 is 6. Next, I'm going to factor. Two sets of parentheses. Break up my x. Same sign, both positive. Two numbers that multiply to 6 that add to 7. 6 and 1. Now we're going to undo this multiplication. I write this notation so that we don't forget to do this step. All right, let's undo this and divide by 2, which is a. 1 is not divisible by 2. I don't want to leave the fraction. I'm going to clear this fraction and move the 2 over here. And x plus 6 divided by 2 is 3. I can't divide everything by 2 here, so I have to do this method. A times c. (56 times 2 is 112). Two sets of parentheses. Break up my x. Same sign. Both positive. Now 112 is a big one. So I'm going to just go through and make a complete factor list. So I'm going to pause this, finish my factor list. Okay, my factor loop is done. These numbers multiply to 112, and these two will add to 23. So this we just factored. Now we have to do our third step and divide by a. Which was 2. 7 halves is a fraction, so let's clear our fraction. 16 divided by 2 is 8, and I have factored. Okay, can't divide everything by 7. So I'm going to multiply a times c. Then I'm going to factor. Parentheses, break up my x, one of each sign because c is negative. So I'm doing my factor loop, and I notice that two numbers that multiply to 42 that subtract to 11 are going to be these. The leftover is negative, so I need the 14 to be negative. And then I'm going to undo my multiplication and divide by a. Divide by 7. This is a fraction. I want to clear my fraction. X minus 2, 14 divided by 7. And I'm factored. Let's do a few more examples. A times c. Go ahead and factor. One of each sign. So I'm looking for two numbers that multiply to 12 that subtract to 4. Put this over here. My leftover is negative, so the 6 has to be the negative. Now I gotta go back and divide by a. When you have fractions that need to be simplified, we need to simplify these first. Otherwise, it won't be factored completely. So 1 6, 2 and 12, so that reduces to 1/2. And this will reduce to 1 6. So I did simplify. Then I'm going to clear my fractions. And I've factored. Multiply a times c. 20 times negative 2 is 40. Then factor. X, x, one of each sign. Two numbers that multiply to 40 that subtract to 3. Sorry. So that's going to be 4 times 5. We'll subtract to 3. The leftover is negative. I meant 8 times 5. I apologize. 8 will be negative. 5 will be positive. They combine to negative 3, multiply to negative 40. Go back, divide by a. Once again, I'm going to have to simplify. Then clear my fractions. And I'm factored completely. Do one more. A times C. Go ahead and factor one of each sign. Two numbers that multiply to 10 that subtract to 3. 5 and 2. The leftover is negative, so the larger one's negative. Go back. Divide by A. I did not need this. 2 divided by 2 is 1. Clear this fraction, and it's factored.